Welcome everyone. From today we are going to discuss a next module, that is vector calculus. In your 11th and 12th standard you come across with the quantity vector. First we will discuss what is meant by scalar and what is meant by vector. Scalar means a quantity which has only a magnitude. For example, height of a person, weight of a particular quantity, resistance of the given the value of resistance in ohms. These are all scalar quantities. They are fixed. They have only magnitudes. The quantities which has direction as well as magnitude is called as a vector quantity. The examples are velocity of a moving particle, acceleration, then in electric field, so the current flowing through the circuit has the magnitude as well as the directions. So these are all vector quantities. In 11th and 12th standard you come across with the algebra of vectors, addition, subtraction, then scalar product, that is dot product, cross product, that is vector product. Then you come across with scalar triple products. So these are all basics which you have already learned. In this syllabus, that is in this module, we are going to see the vector differentiation and vector integration. Further, we are going to deal with the gradient of a scalar field as a then divergence of a vector quantity, then curl product of the vector quantity. But before we proceed for that, we will start with what is meant by a scalar function, what is meant by a vector function, and then we will introduce the gradient of a scalar function, then curl and divergence of the vector function. So let's begin with what is meant by scalar function and vector function. Okay, we start with the vector differentiation. First we will see what is meant by scalar function. A scalar function f of xyz is a function defined at each point in a certain domain capital D in the space. Its value is a real and it depends on the point p x, y, z, which is plotted in the space. Okay, but it is not depends on any particular coordinate system. That's very important. Now what are the different examples for the scalar function? The distance formula, look at it this, p is any point in the space, q be the fixed point, then the distance of point p from q is given by this formula, which is nothing but a scalar function. Are you clear with this? So a field which is formed by the scalar function is called as a scalar field. Now we will see what is meant by vector function. A function v is equal to v of p given as v1 I cap plus v2 j cap plus v3 k cap defined at each point p from the domain D is called a vector function. A vector field defined in the D in a certain coordinate system is given by v is equal to v1 of x, y, z I cap plus v2 x, y, z j cap plus v3 of x, y, z k cap. Okay, so see, look, just have a look here. The vector function v is operated on the point p. So v1, v2, v3 are the components of this vector function, where v1, v2, v3 are nothing but the functions depending on the x, y, z. So they are v1, v2, v3 are separately, you can say they are the scalar functions. Okay, but when we combine with this v1 I cap, v2 j cap, v3 k cap, then it becomes a vector function. I hope this idea is clear. Now velocity field, that is v of p defined at any point p on a rotating body defines the vector field. So velocity field is the best example of the vector quantity, vector function. I hope this idea is clear. If scalar field and vector field depends on time, we denote them as f of t and v of t respectively. So one can write the vector function as a v of t, v1 of t I cap, v2 of t j cap, and v3 of t k cap. v1, v2, v3 are the scalar functions called as a decomposition of the vector function v. So just remember this, they are called as a components of the vector. Okay, now just have a look at the parametric equation of this particular curve in the space. R bar be the position vector of point P x, y, z which lie on the curve. Then its x, y and z coordinates are given by f1 of t, f2 of t, f3 of t. Then the position vector R bar is given as x I cap plus y j cap plus z k cap. So this is the vector equation of the given curve. This is called as a vector equation of the given curve. I hope this idea is also clear. Now we have defined the scalar functions, we have defined the vector functions. So we would like to define the vector differentiability. But before we proceed to vector differentiability, I just like to mention couple of points. See, this vector calculus involves the vector differentiation and integration. Now in the field of electronics and in the field of electric, it has a very vast applications. Mainly in electromagnetism, electromagnetic fields, electromagnetic wave subjects, you will find the concept of vector calculus. Maxwell's equation find an excellent application of a vector calculus in electromagnetics. Of course, there are many more points where you can apply the concept of vector calculus in the electromagnetism, but I have just given a hint that Maxwell's equation involves the vector calculus. Okay. In the disciplines of electronics, electrical, control engineering, when there is a requirement of calculating the length, area, volume involving vectors as a parameters, we use the vector concepts. Robotics also have the vector calculus, robotics also uses the vector calculus application. Some of the prominent theorems of vector calculus as a Gauss divergence theorem, Stokes theorem, Green's theorem also used in these particular fields. Okay, but these three theorems are from the vector calculus, mainly the theorems of vector integration. So this we will see at the end of the particular module. But this hint is given for just your understanding. What are the applications? The main use of this vector calculus is in electromagnetism. So you just when you study the electromagnetics subject or say the subjects like electromagnetic waves, you will come across with the vectors and vector calculus. Now we start with the vector differentiation. Just look at this definition. A vector function v of t is said to be differentiable at a point if the limit delta t tends to 0, v of t plus delta t minus v of t upon delta t exists. If this limit exists, we write it as v dash of t or dv by dt, that is derivative of v with respect to t. Now this definition is applicable when your vector depends on the vector function depends on a single variable t. But if you have a vector function like this, say v is equal to v1 of x comma y comma z into I cap plus v2 of x y z into j cap plus v3 of x comma y comma z into k cap. Okay. Now how to get the derivative of this? Because see, here your vector function depends on x, y and z, that is more than one variables. So there we involve the concept of partial derivative. Is this clear? Our present discussion shows that partial differentiation of vector function of two or more variables can be given as partial derivative of v with respect to x will be given as partial derivative of v1 with respect to x into I cap plus partial derivative of v2 with respect to x into j cap plus partial derivative of v3 with respect to x into k cap. Similarly, one can give the partial derivative of v with respect to y, the partial derivative of v with respect to z, and so on. Also, one can give the second order derivatives, partial derivative of v with respect to x and with respect to y, second order partial derivative of v with respect to x with respect to y is given as partial derivative of v1 with respect to x, second order partial derivative of v1 with respect to x with respect to y, plus dabba square v2 by dabba x dabba y, dabba square v3 by dabba x dabba y into k cap. So this way one can give the differentiation of a vector function having the more than one independent variables. Okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to start with the directly gradient, which is a main objective of our first chapter. Gradient of a scalar function. Okay. Gradient of scalar field or scalar function. Okay, the gradient of a given scalar function f of xyz is denoted by GRAD, that is grad of f or del f. Some of users may read this as a nabla f. Okay, and the gradient of f is the vector function. That's a very important. Gradient of a scalar field is always a vector function, and it is defined by gradient of f is equal to del f is equal to dabba f by dabba x into I cap plus dabba f by dabba y into z cap plus dabba f by dabba z into k cap. So this way one can give the value of gradient of f. In other words, means in point form also it is been given dabba f by dabba x, comma dabba f by dabba y, comma dabba f by dabba z. So here the del is a differential operator. Del is called as a differential operator. And the value of del is usually given as dabba by dabba x of I cap, dabba by dabba y of z cap, and dabba by dabba z of k cap. Okay. Gradient are useful in several ways, notably in giving the rate of change of f of xyz. That's very important. Rate of change of f of xyz in any direction in the space, in obtaining the surface normal vectors, and in deriving the vector fields from the scalar fields. Okay, so this is used in these many directions. So the relation between two kinds of fields is obtained by using the gradient. Two kinds of fields means one is a scalar field and the vector field. So whenever a scalar field is given, you can obtain a vector field by taking the gradient of the vector field. Gradient of the scalar field, you get a vector field. So gradient, you can call it as a relation between a scalar and the vector field. I hope this is also clear to everyone. What is meant by gradient of vector field, scalar fields. Now I just took some simple examples how to calculate the gradient. Let phi is a scalar function given as 2x z raised to 4 minus x square y. find the del phi, that is gradient of phi, at point 2 comma minus 2 comma 1. Okay. Yes, what is the definition of gradient of phi or gradient of f? It is dabba phi by dabba x into I cap. Instead of f, I am just replacing phi, because here the notation I have used is phi for the scalar field, plus dabba phi by dabba y into z cap plus dabba phi by dabba z into k cap. So this is nothing but dabba by dabba x of 5, that is 2x z raised to 4 minus x square y into I cap plus dabba by dabba y of 5, that is 2x z raised to 4 minus x square y into z cap plus dabba by dabba z of 5, that is 2x z raised to 4 minus x square y into k cap. Now, in the first term, we are differentiating this partially with respect to x. So while differentiating partially with respect to x, other than x, whatever the variables are present, treated as a constants. So look at here, in the first term, the x is present. What is its term? X itself. What is the derivative of x? Is 1. 1 into 2 into z raised to 4. So I am getting 2z raised to 4 minus. In the second term, the term of x is given as x square. What is the derivative of x square? 2x into remaining terms. So this is the partial derivative of phi with respect to x into I cap plus. Now dabba by dabba y of phi. So now I am differentiating partially with respect to y. Look at it, the first term. Do you have y in this? No. Hence the entire term will be treated as a constant. The derivative of constant is always 0 minus x square as it is. Yes, here the y is present. What is the derivative of y with respect to y? 1. So x square into 1 into z cap plus. Now partial derivative of this quantity with respect to z. In the first term, z is present. What is the term of z? Z raised to 4. What is its derivative? It is 4z cube. 4z cube into 2x. So we get 4 to the 8xz cube. Now x square y. Do you have z in the second term? No. Hence the derivative of the second term will be 0. Therefore we get 2z raised to 4 minus 2xy into I cap minus x square into z cap plus 8xz cube into k cap. Now see, originally they have provided a scalar function. Now you get a vector function. So that is, this is a scalar field and this is a vector field. I hope this is clear. Now we are going to calculate gradient of phi at point 2 comma minus 2 comma 1. It's a very simple. Substitute x is equal to 2, y is equal to 2 and z is equal to 2. Z is equal, x is equal to 2, y is equal to minus 2 and z is equal to 1. So 2 into 1 raised to 4 minus 2 into 2 into minus 2 into I cap minus 2 square into z cap plus 8 into bracket 2 into z cube, that is 1 cube into k cap. So here I am getting 2 and minus become plus, 2 to the 4 to the 8, 8 plus 2, that gives me the 10 I cap minus 2 square, that is 4j cap plus 8 to the 16 k cap. So this is the gradient of phi at a point 2 minus 2 1. Similarly, one can calculate the gradient of any scalar function in similar way. We will do one more simple example to understand it very clearly. Now I am giving some other functions, say f of x comma y comma z is equal to log of x square plus y square plus z square. Find gradient of f. Now here symbol is changed. In previous we have taken phi, here I am taking f. Now what is gradient of f? That is del f. It is dabba f by dabba x into I cap plus dabba f by dabba y into z cap plus dabba f by dabba z into k cap. Now, we have to calculate dabba f by dabba x, that is partial derivative of log of x square plus y square plus z square into I cap plus partial derivative with respect to y of log of x square plus y square plus z square into z cap plus partial derivative with respect to z of log of x square plus y square plus z square into k cap. Now, how to get these partial derivatives? It's very simple. See, I am taking a partial derivative with respect to x. Whose derivative I am going to take? Logarithm. Is logarithm involve a term of x? Yes. If it is not, then entire term will be treated as a constant, hence the derivative is 0. But here, the logarithm involves x. So therefore, the derivative is, what is the derivative of log x? 1 upon x. So in the same way, 1 upon x square plus y square plus z square. Usually, while getting the derivative d by dx of log x, how we proceed? The derivative of log x is 1 upon x into d by dx of this quantity x. So hence our answer is 1 upon x. Similarly, into partial derivative of x square plus y square plus z square into I cap. For this also, 1 upon x square plus y square plus z square into partial derivative with respect to y of x square plus y square plus z square into z cap. Plus similarly for this, 1 upon x square plus y square plus z square into partial derivative with respect to z of x square plus y square plus z square into k cap. Now, what is the partial derivative of this with respect to x? X square term, the derivative is 2x plus y square. So in the second term there is no x, so derivative is 0. In the third term also there is no x, so derivative will be 0. So from this I am getting 2x divided by x square plus y square plus z square. Similarly for this, 2y upon x square plus y square plus z square. 2z upon x square plus y square plus z square into k cap. Okay. So this is how one can calculate the partial derivatives and then one can get the gradient of the given scalar field. Okay. Now we are going to see the geometrical meaning of the gradient. What are the different uses of this gradient? The first one is vector character of a gradient, that is maximum increase. Okay. And second one is a gradient as a surface normal vector. Now what is meant by maximum increase? See, f of p is equal to f of x comma y comma z. P is a point x y z. This is a scalar function. This is a scalar function having the continuous partial derivatives. Having continuous partial derivatives in some domain capital D of the space. The gradient of f exists in the domain D and is a vector. Gradient of f is always a vector. That is, its length and direction, that is direction of this vector quantity, the length of this vector quantity are independent of particular choice of Cartesian coordinates. That means whatever you select xyz, you will get the independent value of gradient of f. So I am just selecting the points from a circle from a spherical surface, then then the vector which is obtained del f will have the independent direction and the length. There is no connection between them. Okay. Now, further, if the value of this gradient f is non-zero at some point P, then it has the direction of maximum increase of f at a point P. In which direction the f has a maximum increase in the at point P? So in dodge direction your gradient of f will direct. Okay. The next one is very important, that is normal to the surface. Basically, phi of xyz, here I have taken f of xyz, here I will take a phi of xyz, be a scalar function. This is nothing but a phi of x comma y comma z is equal to some constant c represents a surface. Okay, then gradient of phi represents a vector perpendicular to the surface phi of xyz is equal to c. So perpendicular to the surface. For example, so this is my surface phi of xyz, then whatever its gradient will be a perpendicular to it, like that 90 degree should be getting. Okay, hence gradient of phi is a vector normal to surface phi of xyz is equal to c. This is a very important remark. Okay, now further we require the next point, or say the very important point, is called as directional derivative. So whenever we want to calculate the derivative of a scalar point function in some particular direction, then we use the gradient concept. So f of xyz be a scalar point function, f of p and f of q be the two values of f at two different points p and q, then limit q tends to p, f of q minus f of p divided by q minus p. If this limit exists, then the value of the limit is called as a directional derivative, and which is given as this is denoted by directional derivative of f in the direction of b bar, where b bar is a vector nothing but directed towards the q. So this vector is a b bar, p to q. So this directional derivative is denoted by directional derivative of f in the direction of b bar. Now there are various ways of getting the directional derivatives. Some important remarks we would like to discuss very quickly, and we will discuss the problems on this in the next lecture. Direction of pq is along the coordinate axis. The direction of pq is along the coordinate axis. Dabba f by dabba x, dabba f by dabba y, and dabba f by dabba z are the directional derivatives of f in the direction of coordinate axis at p. Okay. Now if f of xyz be a scalar point function at a point at any point xyz, and the line segment pq has a direction cosines l, m and n, then how to get a directional derivative? So this is the formula. If the direct means, this is a formula when they ask you to calculate a directional derivative along the coordinate axis, say for x axis, y axis or z axis. But if you want to calculate directional derivatives along some line segment, but instead of giving the equation of line segment or that particular vector in that direction, they provides you the directional cosines l, m, n. So this way you can get the directional derivative. Another is f of xyz be a scalar point function. The directional derivative of f in the direction of some vector a bar is calculated by this formula. So directional derivative of phi in the direction of a bar is given as gradient of phi dot product with a bar divided by magnitude of a bar. Okay, now there is one important remark. The directional derivative of f of xyz is maximum in the direction of gradient of f. So sometimes you may get a question, our scalar point function is f of xyz, find the directional derivative, find the maximum value of the directional derivative. So it's very simple. Use this formula. Instead of getting a bar, you take a bar as a gradient of f itself. Okay. Now, angle between the two surfaces. Suppose there are two surfaces, you have phi of xyz is equal to c1 and psi of xyz is equal to c2. Then the angle between these two surfaces is nothing but angle between the gradient of phi and gradient of psi. So this way you can calculate the angle between the two surfaces. Now in the next lecture we are going to discuss the problems depending on the directional derivatives. Till that, you just revise whatever we have learned in today's lecture, and also you try to get the directional also try to get the gradient for this particular function. Phi is equal to phi u x square y minus 3y square z square at a point 1 comma minus 2 comma 1. So try to get the gradient of this phi. Okay, thank you.